Hey guys, welcome back. If you're interested in getting more political analysis, projections, and commentary, you can click that subscribe button. In this one, we're going to be talking about the best case scenario for the Senate Democrats in 2018. Basically, we're going to be going through and giving the Democrats every seat that they could potentially pick up here in 2018. So basically, 2018 we feel is going to be somewhat similar to what we saw back in 2008, where the Democrats had a pretty good wave election. Barack Obama going on to beat John McCain in the general election, 365 electoral votes to 173. So basically, we're going to be giving the Democrats every state where they have an incumbent or where they've been able to win statewide elections, or just ones where the polling is pretty close and they could possibly pick up, especially where in 2018, the Democratic voter turnout is expected to be quite significantly higher than you would typically expect, especially in a non-presidential year. So we're going to be working our way over from west to east, starting out in Nevada, where this is a seat where Democrats have a great shot at picking up over an incumbent. You have Dean Heller, who doesn't necessarily have the greatest approval rating from his home state, and also Nevada, a state where Hillary Clinton was able to beat Donald Trump in a state that's been trending blue more recently. So with all that being the case, definitely a seat that the Democrats can pick up there. Moving down to Arizona, the fact that Jeff Flake is moving on and not giving Arizona the incumbency advantage there works into the Democrats' advantage. Also, their representative right now in terms of all of the polling that we've seen from Sinema against all of the potential Republican primary nominees that she could be going against. She's been doing quite well in that polling. Arizona also one of those southwestern states that's been trending a bit more blue as of late. Of course, if we look back at 2008, it was a Republican state, but that's because John McCain is the senator from that state. So not a huge surprise that he was able to pick up Arizona, but also Arizona was a very close election between Clinton and Trump, in a state, like I said, that's been trending a bit more blue and getting more competitive. So this is another one of those states that we'd be pretty surprised if it didn't go over to the Democrats' side here in a wave election. Moving on up to Montana, the incumbency advantage with John Tester, who's pretty popular and favorable back in his home state. So we're going to give that to the Democrats with that incumbency. Also, the incumbency advantage here in North Dakota with Heidi Heitkamp. However, we do see this as being a vulnerable seat for the Democrats where they could definitely lose this one. It's almost a coin flip here, but again, in a blue wave election, definitely having that incumbency advantage can make a difference. In a similar scenario over in Missouri, where they have the incumbency advantage, but also a state where Donald Trump did very well in 2016. And even if we go back to 2008, Obama was not able to pick up the state of Missouri, even though it was very close. And Missouri is one of those states that has shown that they can elect Democrats or Republicans in statewide elections. I feel like there's going to be a little bit of a Republican fatigue here in the state of Missouri with all the drama that's going around with their governor right now, and also with that incumbency advantage. Definitely going to be capable of keeping this seat. And then a couple of states up here in the Midwest with Wisconsin and Michigan. You have the incumbency in both scenarios. Of course, Donald Trump winning both of these states, but Obama winning both of these states in 2008 and 2012. And having that incumbency advantage, we certainly expect both of these states to be pretty safe on the Democrats' side of things. Now moving down to Texas, where the polling that we've been seeing initially is fairly competitive between Cruz and O'Rourke. And as more people in Texas learn about O'Rourke, I think they're going to like the message that he has. He doesn't take that corporate PAC money in comparison to Cruz, who gets a large sum of his money from corporations in Wall Street, which doesn't necessarily play well in the state of Texas. We see a pretty competitive race here between O'Rourke and Cruz, and wouldn't be surprised to see the Democrats pick up this seat, especially when you consider that Cruz's approval rating is not all that great in his home state of Texas, especially when you compare it over to other senators from their home states. The only senator that is kind of in that same ballpark as Ted Cruz is Mitch McConnell over in Kentucky. So moving on to Indiana. Kind of a similar scenario, a little bit to Missouri in terms of the incumbency here. I think that this is another one of those Senate seats that the Republicans have a pretty good shot at picking up, especially with the Mike Pence advantage that they bring into this one. But again, like I said, best case scenario, the Democrats keep this one with the incumbency advantage and keeping that on their side of things. Moving on to Ohio, Sherrod Brown, I don't think he's in too much of a worry here against his Republican challenger. He's a pretty popular senator there from the state of Ohio. Also, of course, Ohio going for President Obama back in 2008. And in a blue wave election, we definitely expect the incumbent Sherrod Brown to keep this seat. And kind of similar over to Pennsylvania, maybe even a little bit more secure. Bob Casey, the incumbent there. We do feel like this is another seat that the Democrats are probably almost certainly going to be able to keep here in the Midwest. Moving on down to West Virginia, probably going to be a competitive matchup here, a very red state, but Joe Manchin has a lot of supporters there in his home state of West Virginia, so we're going to keep the incumbent again here with Joe Manchin and winning that seat. Moving on down to Tennessee, probably one of the most interesting matchups on the board, maybe other than Texas, but Phil Bredesen, very popular former Tennessee governor there, and then Tennessee not having the incumbency advantage with Corker coming back. Also, Corker, very good friends with Bredesen. A lot seems to be working in the Democrats' favor here in the state of Tennessee, so they can definitely go on and pick up that seat from the Republicans. And then moving on down to Florida, yet another incumbency advantage here with Bill Nelson, but it's not as big of an advantage given the fact that Rick Scott is very well known as the Florida governor. He's going to have probably a pretty competitive race down here. We think that gun control is going to play a major role in a state like Florida, of course, and Bill Nelson is definitely a little bit more stringent on gun control than you're going to get from the Republican Rick Scott. So we are going to go ahead and side with this incumbent here, grabbing that seat. So that's going to wrap up this map, guys, giving the incumbency the big advantage here, and also in what's likely to be a blue wave election in 2018. It's not completely out of the realm of possibility that we could see a map where the Democrats have 53 Senate seats. Probably going to be closer to about a 50-50 scenario if you really had to boil it down. I made a similar video to this where I gave the Republicans all of these seats that I just gave to the Democrats in what are viewed as being competitive elections, and they ended up with 61 seats to 39 on the Democrat side. So definitely a lot more seats that the Democrats have to defend, but that's not a bad situation to be in when you're expected to have very high voter turnout from your base. So with that being the case, we see it 53-47 here if the Democrats have their best case scenario. If you guys want more of this political projections analysis and commentary, you can click that subscribe button, and you can check out some of our other videos that we've made projecting the races as well. So thanks guys for stopping on in, and we hope to see you in future videos. Bye.